Dragons are among the most iconic, mythical creatures depicted across various cultures and media. But while they share the same name, the dragons of the West and the East are fundamentally different in appearance, personality, and power. When we think of dragons from Western culture, we often imagine massive beasts with leathery wings, breathing fire and wreaking havoc. Examples like the dragons from Game of Thrones or Smaug from The Hobbit come to mind. Creatures with muscular bodies, tough scales, sharp claws, and a fearsome temperament, often portrayed as greedy and dangerous. On the other hand, Eastern dragons offer a completely different image. They are revered and divine, like the wish-granting Shenrong from Dragon Ball or the celestial beings of Chinese mythology that govern water and weather. These dragons often appear as benevolent protectors, or wise beings that bring blessings to humanity. Despite sharing the same name, the dragons of the West and East are drastically different in their symbolism, abilities, and even their physical forms. Today, we'll explore these differences, and imagine what might happen if these mighty creatures were ever to clash. Part 1: Differences in appearance. Western dragons are typically depicted as powerful, fearsome beasts. They are massive, muscular creatures with rough, scaly hides and large bat-like wings. Their sharp claws and jagged teeth make them the embodiment of raw physical power and destruction. Flying through the sky, breathing fire, and guarding treasure thieves are the classic traits of a Western dragon. In contrast, Eastern dragons are graceful and serpentine. They possess long, slender bodies resembling that of a snake, often with the head of a lion or deer adorned with antlers. Interestingly, they can soar through the air without wings, displaying mastery over natural elements. Their scales are smoother and often resemble those of a fish or snake, emphasizing fluidity and elegance over brute strength. Part 2: Differences in personality. The personality of a dragon also greatly varies between cultures. In the West, dragons are frequently portrayed as malevolent beings, often guarding treasures or ravaging villages. They are symbols of greed, destruction, and chaos, creatures that heroes are tasked with slaying to prove their worth. Conversely, Eastern dragons are celebrated as divine and wise beings. Rather than causing destruction, they are considered guardians of natural balance. They bring rain, fertility, and prosperity, often serving as benevolent spirits that guide or assist humans. Depictions of dragons as protectors or guides reflect values of harmony and coexistence that are central to Eastern philosophies. Part 3: Myths and Legends of Dragons. Stories about dragons are abundant in both Eastern and Western cultures. One of the most famous Western dragon tales is the legend of Beowulf. The hero Beowulf confronts a dragon that guards a hoard of treasure, but ultimately dies from his injuries after defeating the beast. Another well-known story is that of Saint George, who is celebrated for slaying a dragon terrorizing a village, cementing his status as a heroic figure. Eastern mythology also features numerous dragon legends. In China, emperors were considered descendants of dragons, symbolizing power and divine right. The yellow dragon Huanglong was revered as a symbol of the emperor's authority, while the white dragon Beilong was seen as a deity of water, providing rain and fertility. In Japanese folklore, dragons like Ryujin are portrayed as rulers of the sea, embodying wisdom and authority. While Western dragons often appear as antagonistic monsters to be defeated, Eastern dragons are depicted as revered protectors and symbols of prosperity. Part 4: Combat Styles and Abilities. When it comes to combat, Western dragons are the embodiment of brute strength. They rely on their immense physical power, using their wings to soar above their enemies and their fiery breath to scorch everything in their path. With thick scales for protection and devastating claws and teeth, their battle style is direct and ferocious. Eastern dragons, however, are more mystical and versatile. They wield elemental powers such as wind, water, and lightning. Their combat style focuses more on manipulating the environment and outmaneuvering their opponents, rather than direct confrontation. Their ability to levitate without wings grants them unmatched agility and flexibility in battle. While Western dragons favor physical dominance, Eastern dragons emphasize finesse and control over the elements. Part 5: What if they had a fight? Now, let's imagine if these two mighty dragons were to clash. Who would come out on top? A Western dragon's overwhelming strength and fiery breath would make it a devastating force in close combat. Its thick scales and brute force could overpower many foes, especially in dry or confined environments where fire-based attacks are most effective. However, the Eastern dragon's supernatural abilities might give it the upper hand. Manipulating weather, conjuring storms, and wielding lightning would allow it to counter the Western dragon's fire breath, or even nullify its physical attacks. Additionally, its ability to levitate and weave through the air effortlessly grants it a significant advantage in agility. In a direct battle of sheer physical strength, the Western dragon would likely dominate. but when considering the Eastern Dragon's elemental powers and mystical abilities, it may have the advantage through strategy and finesse. Ultimately, the result depends on the battlefield, and each dragon's ability to exploit their strengths. Personally, I believe the Eastern Dragon's versatility and supernatural prowess would likely grant it a narrow victory. Conclusion: which dragon do you think would win? Or, perhaps more importantly, which dragon do you find more fascinating? Because they are mythical creatures, comparisons like these are all about imagination and creativity. Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and like for more exciting topics like this one.